Hello all. Here we are to talk about another giant movie and TV, now a TV franchise. That is the John Wick universe. What's very interesting about this is just how it's always been built upon. It's been an unexpected success. People are trying to replicate it, but I think what holds it through and through is just how people love the whole just original crime underworld. It's a mixture of both dark comedy, mixed in with martial arts action, as well as neo-noir kind of crime and style. And in beneath the style, just seeing just all the characters just kind of speaking for one another, these violent warriors with a code of honor, an unofficial, off the grid, hitman division, and just seeing all these producers who chimed in on it, who have made something of it, who made it larger than life. It's just giving Tarantino a run for his money now. And so in between the second and the third movie, in between 2017 to 2019, they decided to do a prequel comic book for Dynamite Comics, who's had their fair share of original as well as material based off comics and crossovers, as well as movie and TV show spin-offs. And this one, of course, brings us back as Keanu Reeves in the titular role. Like, they're totally using his persona, and it just explores his character, how he fled from a village at a young age, and he goes after this violent Texas gang. We'll get to them in a minute. When just seeing these previews and people talking about it, I was wondering, who is this female assassin he's fighting? Is that Adriana Palicki's character, Miss Perkins, an earlier episode where they fight? No, it's someone totally different. The only other character from the movies is Chiron, the hotel manager of the Hitman division called the Continental. And yeah, they're totally using, Lance Reddick has left us, but they totally used his persona here. I'm not sure if they paid him or not, but whatever. But altogether, I mean, I think this comic works just as well as the various movies it's based off, because it's doing its own thing. It's got its own voice still here. Instead of trying to, again, emulate something like The Punisher or Judge Dredd, it's got plenty of satirical moments, but it's not the same as trying to be like, again, just all the other vigilantes. And it's never been one dimensional. It has been over the top, and it's not something I would say is the best movie of all time, but for a genre movie, it's definitely a solid action outing. And I would actually like to see more of these comics, because I think this just did so much good. And but altogether, it's just the colors on this are nice. It's a 5-issue series. They don't really entirely explain why Wick's name is Jovanovich, but that they show, again, just how he gets into this freelancing. He saves a cat from trouble, so that's a nice irony. He was saving pets before he, was avenging the death of his dog in the movies. And it illustrates how he masters the so-called Book of Rules, that, what the assassins do and don't. And of course, I don't even know why they introduced these rules, because almost all the villains he faces off with break the rules. It's kind of like Highlander, where what's the point? No one's ever going to follow it. So Maria is a adjudicator of the high table. Call it a council, whatever it is. That's where the hitmen enlist. The contractors enlist all the hitmen. And so comics 2 and 3 are where they mainly illustrate this. I didn't find these all that interesting. This was altogether, though, still pretty brisk dialogue, pretty to the point, clearly by a movie fan. The writer of this comic is Greg Pak, who's done Hulk, X-Men, Thor, and Star Wars comics. And the main villainess, I would say, is Calamity. She's a assassin who's escaped an insane asylum. It's so stupid. They try to even give her guns back, and of course it's all a fad. She's just been waiting to break out a few months later and kill them all. She works for this outlaw team in El Paso, Texas. Yep, you heard that right. They're called the Free Bills, Pecos, Buffalo, and Billy. Get it? Yeah, they're all inspired by all those infamous outlaws. And so this always kept my attention. It didn't drag for a minute. It's going to appeal to those just seeking just a violent narrative. If they haven't seen any of the movies, you don't need to know anything about this other than it's just a, anti-hero being the underdog and getting rid of all these outlaws, fighting fire with fire. I like how they first introduce him where he likes, quiet time to himself. Giovanni Valletta's artwork is just gorgeous, just as gorgeous as the movies themselves, which are beloved for their cinematography and that colorful, nighttime look. And I love how he stops these guys who are being assholes at a 24-hour restaurant, and he's just there to follow them. And of course he uses a pillow to just cushion his fall through window next door and just ambush them all. I love how each bit of the original artwork created for this foreshadows the carnage that's about to come later on. And it's a quick and easy read. It's not something you gotta spend crazy bucks on, but if you can find it online or at your own comic book store, give it a look. You won't regret it. And I would like to see, again, more of these comic books outlining his history and maybe even one-offs. Hell, if they want to do a versus match or crossover with another universe, bring it on, because it's a fun read, and it goes by so fast. Some of the stuff is a little over the top, and I don't mean that in that it's violent. It's just that the villains, they're just really kind of pushing them, just reminding you, hey, you gotta hate these pricks. But I felt that was a little heavy-handed, but that's a minor complaint, and otherwise pretty solid thing. I like how, again, they remind us on how Wick is a man of few words, but says a lot with just even grunts and just looking around at the colorful people that he's going to have to dispatch. There's no graphic language like the movies sometimes interject, but there is some occasional gory violence, as you would have it. But I also like how it's a little suspenseful without even showing a lot, but you think you're seeing more than you actually are. I don't know why they kind of spread it out as long as they did, but I guess they were just saving it for the occasion, looking at the sales. But yeah, I would like to see a little more in the future, maybe just more current, or maybe even just other crime underworlds, kind of like they're doing with the Continental Show. Just illustrate that whole backdrop instead of just having us, buy the movies on Blu-ray or doing TV marathons. I think they could actually expand the universe a little more, just because it's so over the top. They do imply that he's out of prison, but they don't show much of that. I would like to see what his life was like in prison, or even more of just like have him travel the globe, go to all these other outrageous, towns in various well-known, existing cities. And there's a lot of other stuff they could experiment with. But other than that, just everybody did their job really well. And I think you can also get it as a complete graphic novel if you don't want to collect all 5 issues separately. But once again, just solid all around. Got very few complaints, and again, you really can't go wrong here. If you're a Wick completist, you're going to get some fun stuff. It's not going to be like the most amazing meal you ate, but it is still going to be some solid substance, and you'll just love, again, how it made use of echoing the movie style while being kind of its own just really hitting home on what a graphic novel can do. I don't think this side story would work as an episode of TV or as a standalone movie, but that's okay. It's still making use of a graphic novel's medium form and building on it from there. But everybody check it out if you can. It's just simply called the John Wick, comic by Dynamite Entertainment. But pick this prequel up and eat it up.
We'll return after these messages.
If you like small-town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast recs and booty debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
The Jacked Up Review Show podcast is honored to be part of the Blind Knowledge Podcast Network. Join anytime, talk the talk, and enjoy yourselves. There's something enlightening for everyone with this crowd of cool cats. Check them out.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening. It's a